Call the order, Police Commissioners meeting of January 13th, 2025 at 6:20 PM. We're going to table approval of the minutes because we cannot vote on them to the next meeting. The November 18th minutes will have to go to the February meeting. So, next item on our agenda is we move into an executive session and we have discussed personal matters regarding a new recruit. I would make a motion. We need a motion.
Motion.
Vote.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And who can stay, Andy?
I'm sorry?
Who is invited to stay? We dismissed the TV crew, and then who can stay? The rest of us can stay?
The rest of you can stay.
Okay.
We'll have somebody make a motion to hire Matthew Perez, make him an offer to hire him as a police officer with the town of Woodbridge, contingent on him passing his physical. He has not had his physical yet.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. On item C, which is public comments and correspondence, do we have any?
We do not.
All right, so we'll move on to reports, both the financial, Frank, and activity reports.
So for the financial report, we're just over 6 months into the fiscal year, and as of last week, we're at approximately 48% of the budget expended, so just under the halfway point of that. So we remain on target and where we should be at this time. And as I mentioned at our last meeting, 2 funding lines that remain of concern was the police overtime line. Currently we're over by about $3,000 right now, but as we discussed before, it has to do with manpower shortages and vacancies. And that's also our 53520 vehicle repairs and maintenance that still remains at the 86% mark, as we discussed last month. And additionally, one other one I wanted to bring to your attention was 53510, repair maintenance, machinery and equipment. That's at 92.4%. I previously reported that we had a DVR unit for our facilities camera system that we unexpectedly had to replace. And more recently, we had to purchase a refrigerator and dispatch to replace the one that was up there. It stopped working following a power shutdown that was done when they did work over at the center building and had to update the electrical panel. So those unexpected costs drove that line up somewhat, but finance director's aware of it, and for now we're holding steady with that line there. Of course, that's it on the financial report.
Okay. Any questions? All right, motion to accept?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving on to the criminal activity report. So amongst the incidents listed in the statistical reports you received for the past 2 months, we had 1 burglary that occurred at a construction site on Route 69 during the overnight hours, where a large amount of building supplies were stolen. That remains under investigation. The possible suspect developed for this and similar incidents in the Bordering community. We had another attempted burglary occurred during the daytime hours at a residence on Wedgewood Road, where a rear door was broken, but the perpetrators fled without making an entry. Officers responded to 4 family disputes, one of which resulted in 2 arrests, and 10 fraud investigations of various types. 11 larceny investigations. One of those was very significant and involved the theft of several $1,000s worth of jewelry and other valuables stolen from a house under construction. We had 5 larcenies for motor vehicle incidents. One occurred on Luciana Street, and 4 of the other ones occurred in commercial establishments on Route 63, Route 69, Bradley Road, South Bradley Road. Officers responded to 165 calls for medical assistance, 6 mental health related calls, and we had 5 stolen motor vehicle investigations during the past 2 months. We had 1 car stolen during the overnight hours from a driveway on Mill Haven that was later recovered in New Haven. Vehicle stolen out of an Amity Road business establishment that was also recovered in New Haven. Vehicle stolen overnight from a driveway on Forest Glen Drive that was later recovered in New Britain. And then on that same day, a vehicle stolen in New Britain was found abandoned and unoccupied in the Forest Glen area where the other car was stolen. So that car was recovered. We had another car stolen out of a driveway on Purple Drive that was subsequently recovered in Orange. And a vehicle was stolen from a Morris Road residence, and that was eventually recovered in New Haven. And also, additionally, the officers responded to 19 suspicious activity calls during that time. As far as criminal arrests made by our personnel during the past 2 months, there was an arrest of a Middle Avenue resident who was determined to be in violation of several court orders in the possession of firearms. He was charged with violation of protective order and also 6 counts of criminal possession of firearms. After being arrested for that and posting bond here, he was turned over to New Haven PD, who also held an outstanding warrant for his arrest. We arrested a New Haven resident for a burglary, trespassing, and larceny-related charges associated with an ISU investigation into an August 2023 burglary of a local business that also involved theft of a motor vehicle from that location. They made an arrest of 2 participants in a domestic dispute for disorderly conduct-related charges, and the arrest of a subject for larceny first degree associated with that theft from the residence that I just told you about. As far as the Investigative Services Unit report goes, they assumed 14 new cases during the months of November and December, along with being tasked with 12 pre-employment background investigations for our police officer and dispatcher applicants. Regarding some developments with their ongoing case investigations, based on some forensic evidence they collected, they secured and served an arrest warrant for a suspect responsible for a stolen motor vehicle. They secured an arrest warrant for a July 2024 fraud case that occurred at a local bank. They have an arrest warrant pending in court for another stolen motor vehicle case. And they have developed a suspect responsible for a September 2024 burglary at a Route 69 commercial establishment, and that will be submitted to court for review. Additionally, they conducted 13 public fingerprint requests, and they performed background investigations for 3 pistol permit applicants. Then I also have some statistics to share regarding our participation in the New Haven Joint Regional Auto Theft Task Force that commenced this past October. It's really working out well and proven to be highly productive and successful. Through the end of the year, or through the end of December, it's yielded the recovery of 49 stolen vehicles, seizure of 12 firearms, which resulted in 48 arrests being made, including 4 narcotics arrests and another 6 orders to detain pertaining to juvenile offenders. The task force has also responded to several street takeover incidents during that time, during which they recovered 8 stolen vehicles and made 6 arrests. So they're doing well, and it's a nice collaboration amongst much of the communities and towns in our area. It's being obviously spearheaded out of New Haven, but just to keep you updated on that. That's all I have on the criminal activity report, and
Two quick questions. So soliciting without a permit, that's trying to, what is that exactly?
that's when vendors go door to door, but they didn't come here first to get vetted in and properly permitted.
And for the radar speed enforcement, so there were 320 in December. Do those end in warnings and tickets, or do we keep statistics on?
Those are assignments where they're sent out and not actually stops that they made, but details that they're posted at are assigned to them. Their deputy will report on that, a little bit more on the traffic for the last couple of months.
With regards to motor vehicle activity and traffic, during the month of December, our Woodbridge officers conducted 78 motor vehicle stops, which is a 2.5% decrease from the 80 stops that were made in November. There were 320 radar speed enforcement assignments and 327 deterrent traffic safety patrols conducted throughout the month of December. December, we had 22 motor vehicle accidents, which is a 27% decrease from November's numbers. Our speed trailer was located on Oak Hill Road, Newton Road, and Racebrook Road. We're currently conducting a traffic study on Newton Road, which should be completed within a week or two, and I will have the results for you at the next meeting. I also compared 2023 to 2024 with regards to traffic stops and motor vehicle accidents. We made 964 traffic stops throughout 2024, which was an 8% increase from 2023. And there were 281 motor vehicle accidents in 2024 as compared to 298 in 2023, which was a 6% decrease in motor vehicle accidents from 2023 to 2024.
That's the
Any questions?
activity reports.
Do we have any questions on the activity reports?
And any theories as to why the motor vehicle accidents is down so substantially? That was the one that was down 27%?
The accident reports for the year were down 6%. They were down 27% from November to December. That 1 month was 27%, but for the whole year, 6% decrease.
That's still good.
Yeah. One of the reasons is that we're the high traffic areas where most of our accidents or bulk of our accidents are occurring. You know, we are conducting our assignments there, our radar speed enforcement and our deterrent traffic safety patrol. So I'd like to think that that helps out a little bit with that.
Okay, we need a vote on the activity report. Motion?
Motion. Second.
All in favor? Okay, move on to report of Chief of Police.
Just 3 items to report. The first one was about our Post C accreditation. So in accordance with the Police Accountability Act and Public Act concerning accreditation standards for statewide law enforcement units, we were all tasked with doing a thorough self-evaluation and upgrading of our departmental policies and procedures to ensure that agencies meet the specific standards set by the State of Connecticut Police Officer Training Council. That was then followed by an independent audit of our policies and procedures that was done by state assessors and people from Post. That was conducted, and they found us to have met the required standards and awarded our agency the Post C Tier 1 accreditation award. This was an extensive and arduous task that involved myself, the Deputy Chief, Sergeant Rizzuti, and input from various other members of the department. It's something that's difficult to achieve, especially for a smaller sized agency with limited staffing and resources. So I thank the deputy and all the others for their efforts in getting this done. And currently we're underway with the process of enhancing our standards even further with the goal of achieving Tier 2 accreditation status during the mandated time. I think that's by the next year and a half or so. Regarding a new patrol vehicle to maintain a safe and dependable fleet, we have requested 2 vehicles in our fiscal year 25 budget proposal, but we're only funded for 1 last year. Also at that time, when I made our presentation, in our multi-year capital budget project outlay, I projected requesting 2 vehicles again for this upcoming fiscal year 26 capital budget. This past November, the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance approved the use of revenue that was awarded to the town through the American Rescue Plan Act to fund several anticipated funding requests from various departments. One of those included their approval of funding in the amount of $66,897 to fund the replacement of 1 patrol vehicle for the police department that we had scheduled for this upcoming budget for fiscal year 2026. That vehicle, a 2025 police interceptor SUV with the hybrid engine package, kind of like what we purchased last time, was ordered on December 13th. That delivery, that car is several months out, but it enabled us to get a jump on it, get the order in place prior to July 1st when the next fiscal year begins. So hopefully that'll also help us with ongoing repairs. And the last thing I wanted to report on was a few months ago I was in contact with a resident from town who, as in the past, wished to remain anonymous, but he's once again graciously offered to make a donation to the department for the purchase of some equipment that would be beneficial to the department and to our community. He and his family's foundation, which is the One of a Kind Foundation, have donated funds for us in the past, which we've used for ballistic helmets for our vehicles, and then last year or so he purchased he gave us funding that allowed for the purchase of our speed awareness monitoring trailer. That last one, that foundation funded that whole project. This year he's offered to fully fund an enhancement of our automated license plate reader system, which was something that I had planned to propose as a capital budget for this upcoming year, but thanks to their donation, won't have to do that. The funding for the project has since been received, and working with the finance director and our vendor, that project should be completed in the next few months. And once that's done, I'll let the family know, and we'll discuss a more formal and official way that we could express our thanks
And then,
to them again for their ongoing
what's
support.
the amount of the donation
Fantastic.
for the license reader?
$16,000, a little bit over $16,000, actually. So,
What's the amount for it?
16,000.
16,000.
Yes.
Nice donation.
yeah, and those are the only topics I have to report on tonight.
Need a vote? Okay, make a motion?
So,
Need a vote?
so
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
So now we move on to personnel matters.
Just 2 topics there. Just an update on our extended absences. Currently, we continue to operate without the 1 officer who has previously reported remains out on that extended workman's comp related injury dating back to November of 2023. Return to work date remains uncertain pending medical evaluations and insurance and compensation review. And just going back to November, since we didn't have a meeting last month, just to let you know that we had 1 officer who was out for about 2 weeks. That was associated with the birth of a child, but he's had since returned to duty. And last month we had a dispatcher out for 2 weeks for the medical procedure, and an officer was also out for 2.5 weeks, approximately for family medical related reasons. That officer and that dispatcher have both returned to duty since. And personnel vacancies, updates. With the hiring tonight of Matthew Perez, that leaves us with 2 patrol vacancies that we're still trying to fill. We, along with several other communities, will begin participating in the South Central Regional Testing process, which is scheduled for the first week in February. And we're also participating in the Connecticut Police Chiefs Association's regional testing process as well. But their next exam date is set for January 25th. So we're looking forward to what these processes generate for us, and we'll keep you posted as we go from there.
So,
Regarding our dispatcher hiring, we have the one
can I
big.
ask a question about the extended workman's comp leave? So is there ever an attempt to have the person come back at some sort of retraining or some other function that can be performed?
There could be, that would be up to the town and to the cop. I guess we have to wait to see when they release them for something for that, or what they'd be doing. But it was November of 2023, so we're coming up to some deadlines that some decisions have to be made one way or another. We'll have to have some more further answers and clarification of, how we're going to proceed, and how he's going to proceed as well. So I'm hoping that in the near future, we're going to know more. I reached out to Tom Hall, about a week or so ago, and looking for an update, and trying to coordinate that with the cop people and everyone involved. So, and then as far as the dispatch hiring, we have one vacant dispatcher position that we're currently working to fill. We've received several applications for that. We're continuing to get more applications and working through the vetting process, along with several different phases of the background investigation. So hopefully we come up with some viable candidates to be able to present to the subcommittee, hopefully in the next few weeks, and hopefully to our full board in the near future. And that's where we are with personnel matters.
Do we have any questions, Frank? We don't have to vote on this. So we move on, unless there's any more questions, we'll move on to budget review and approval of proposed police department capital and operating budgets.
Excuse me.
Now, Chris and I met with Frank and we met with Ron.
Debbie has something.
I'm sorry?
Debbie has something.
Do you have a question, Deb?
No,
She is the lead.
as I stated
Oh.
earlier.
All right, Deb. Thank you for coming, Deb.
Somebody said that's okay.
Yep, stand like that. I blame you.
I don't know what I'm saying. Good.
Correct.
Yes, we do.
What budget?
Take care. I'll shred whatever you want. That's fine. Okay, yeah, thank you. Good night.
Good night, Deb.
Good night.
So, Chris and I did meet with the chief, the assistant chief, and reviewed the online budget for operating budget, and we reviewed the capital budgets. Now, I didn't have any more further questions to ask on it, so I think we should turn it over to Frank and let Frank review the budgets with us.
Okay, so we'll start with the operating budget. I'll highlight some of the changes that are being proposed, or some of the significant changes. So the first one, probably the most significant one, is that 50220, the police officer salary line. So you see the increase there. That increase reflects officer contractual pay grade step increases, but it does not include any wage increase, as their current collective bargaining agreement is still under negotiation. The line includes a funding request to increase our staffing by one additional officer from 23 to 24 sworn. Since 2018, as you know, we've been cut and reduced by 3 positions from 26 to 23. Because of that, oftentimes we're left operating with only 2 officers on patrol. As we've reported repeatedly in the past here and at our budget presentations, we're again prepared to show this year that for more than 1/3 of the past 24 calendar year period. We were operating with only 2 officers on patrol. 2 officers covering the entire town is not efficient. It leaves us vulnerable, and it continues to present a safety risk for the officers and for our community. Just, as we said repeatedly, once they get tied up in an accident or just this weekend, they were, had some arrest, and there's only 2 guys working. They're tied up with the arrest, the victims, and processing. There's nobody to respond. A management and staffing study was done for the town all the way back in 2002, and at that time we recommended that we have a staffing of no less than 24 officers and seek to attain 26. Over the years, we had achieved and maintained a budget for the longest time of 26 sworn, and at that time we were, with 26, we were able to operate efficiently. Our world now, 2025 is nothing like it was in 2002, and we need to start heading back in that direction of increasing our staffing. Although our funding request for 1 officer was denied the past 2 years, we're hoping that it'll change this year, and that's our proposal with that. And hope it's a step and get us going in the right direction, little by little increase staffing, but at least get to the 24, and moving forward in the years to come, get to the 26 and wherever we should be at beyond that. 50225, the police dispatcher line, just the increase reflects pay grade step increases along with their contractual 2.5% raise. The part-time maintenance, that's our mechanic, 50330. That's increased on 2.5 contractual raise, but also we discussed that when we met with the subcommittee, we based that projection or proposal of to be in line with what we project spending this year. The vehicles, the mileage keeps going up, the prices keep going up, and so we felt that was a fair proposal for that. Our part-time IT assistant, that was the new position that was hired back in August of 2024. So that's why you see the raise there. Overtime for our police officers, we made it a more realistic amount based on historical data, step increases, involvement in different outside agencies, and also an increase in overtime associated with town events, different events in town that are requiring police presence. That was up this year from 367 up to 439 hours. That's what we're projecting for fiscal year 25. Training overtime went up, just has to do with pay raises and 1 additional officer. Overtime for dispatchers, we based that on the projected amount for this year, plus their contractual pay raises. An increase in line 51800 regarding uniforms, that reflects 1 new police officer. And also, as I previously reported, we have new Department of Health regulations for first responders about the administration of epinephrine. So that was an additional expense that was there that was pretty significant. And we also have a one-time funding allotment in there, as you see. It's approximately $10,000 to upgrade the entire department to new Class A uniforms, as our old uniforms are no longer being, Class A uniforms are being manufactured. So we have to get everybody new Class A uniforms, so everybody will be uniform. And moving forward, that would be the new issue for any new hires. So it'd be that's like a one-time expense there. Medical expenses went up a little bit, just reflecting increases in exams. Drug screenings went up 5%, so that's that. A big, somewhat of an increase in our data processing line, 52210. Those were increases associated with the town's IT support vendors' ongoing cybersecurity enhancements for our network. Regional services went up. There's a new fee for the police app recruitment platform. Repair, maintenance, and machinery. Increases in our voice recording, interview, interrogation recording systems, and just increases in our service contracts and for our license plate reader annual licensing packages. The repair maintenance of vehicles, that is all the supplies and parts for our vehicles, and it correlates with our, the ongoing repairs that we've been doing, plus a projected price increase of about 3%. So that's where we came up with that figure there. And other than that, the big one, the 55223 electric street and stoplights, you see a 36% increase there, and that increase is associated with just United illuminating rate hikes as we're all experiencing with our homes. And towards the end, capital machinery 57410. Last year we had put in just for the taser, that's already in the replacement cycle, so we have that again, but additionally this year, we put in for one stalker radar unit for replacement. Some of ours are at the end of life, and we have one deployed in every vehicle, so we want to start replacing those. And then as the board had asked for some traffic safety equipment, so we included one stalker pole-mounted solar speed awareness sign and traffic analyst to enhance and promote traffic safety throughout town. So overall, that comes to about a 5.8 increase there. So that's what we have for the operating budget. Any questions on that, or I can go to the capital budget?
Anybody have any questions on the operating budget?
I do not know.
Just one question. It looks like overtime has always been a challenge, understandably, with the staffing, number of officers permitted so far. But it looks like the request is somewhat lower the next year. Is that in anticipation of another 1 or 2 officers, or is it more just, it's just what the city wishes to allow?
Which line was that for?
And overtime police officers,
430.
Police officer
430.
overtime.
Please overtime.
In other words, is that going to be enough to cover overtime needs next year?
Is our request kind of, that's what he's asking. 50430.
Yeah, it will, because actually, and I discussed that with the finance director, so that is based on other things other than the vacancy. So the vacancy portion of that will come out, so pretty much the instruction was don't make that overtime line to cover the vacancies as well, because the portion of the overtime line for the vacancies will come out from the budgeted portion that's in the patrol, so.
So you're covered.
Yeah, so we'll cover with that. So it's more for all the other things that have been coming up.
So the more officers, the lower that's going to be.
Should
Your
be.
expectation is.
Well, it always will be, but it's not as much as
It's not linear.
it's not the true total amount.
It never seems to work that way, because
Yeah.
the next thing you know, we have people out on sick leave and,
Right.
it's
Yeah, there's always
always something going on.
something going on. There's always-
You know, Matthew accepts the job, becomes your 24th officer?
No,
No, it becomes,
he's replacing
he's just
someone.
replacing somebody, yeah.
He's just
He didn't
replacing-
approve for anybody, yeah.
Okay, he's just replacing.
So the 24th, we wouldn't, if
Beg
approved,
pardon?
we won't- if the 24th officer is approved, we won't be able to start that process until after July 1st.
After July.
So we're just trying
So
to fill the vacancies.
Matthew
that
was
we currently have.
replacing, okay.
Yeah. So we had the 3 vacancies, so we replaced one of those 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of discussion, we went over the operating budget, about personnel and the safety of the town. Okay? This town is not the same town we were policing 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or 15 years ago. It's a different town, different set of circumstances. And we find ourselves in a situation where on second shifts and third shifts, if you have an officer has to stop a car, he has to have backup, because he can't stop that car alone based on way things what things are happening today. Which leaves us, if we have a medical call or another call, it leaves us in a position where we don't have coverage. If there's an accident, sometimes it takes 2 officers to respond. If all you have is 2 officers, we find ourselves sometimes in very precarious positions. Now, no one likes to spend money. I'll tell you what, I'm on the Board of Finance for a long time, and I've been involved. I'm a fiscal conservative, but I'll tell you what, when it comes to the safety of the town and our citizens, I think it's very important that we have the protection we need. If we need people, we need people. And that's my position on that.
If I can ask the chair of the meeting, is there anything we as members of the police commission can or should do so that that message gets a fair hearing?
Yeah, I think we should, when Frank makes his presentation, we should be at that meeting. And if any questions are asked, we should really express, we have an opportunity there. There are opportunities for us to speak. I think that we have, I think that there are a lot of things our department needs that we've been very quiet about, and I think we need to be more vocal about. So I would think that if Frank makes his presentation, we should be there in force to back him up.
Yeah, the support of the board
It's very
definitely
important.
goes a long way in the process.
And I'll tell you, and I think there's other members on the board, and there's other members, like, I don't think, I know the selectman's position where he is, what is, but there's other members on the board we have to talk to, and we have to, let them know where we are. And we have to be very, very proactive to get what we need. It's not for the police department, it's for the taxpayers of the town of Woodbridge. It's for their protection. That's what it's for. It's not for the police department. It's for the town, it's for the people, for the safety of the people, of the citizens of the town of Woodbridge. So,
And just to clarify what you did say and advert to, which is that the nature of stops is different than they may have been 10, 20 years ago. Are we talking about suspects or potential passengers who might be armed or heavily armed, or greater risks involved that are being...
it's just greater risks involved today.
It's more of a-
Oh, just turn on, you watch the news, and everybody sees, we don't, it doesn't take, and we're in a corridor. Between here and Waterbury, we're in corridors here. So we have a lot of things passing through us, and not all good things. We have had instances where we have had people clocked at over 90 miles an hour on Baldwin Road and on Litchfield Turnpike. I mean, it's different policing today.
It's standard practice to have 2 officers involved in a motor vehicle stop. If you look at the data, there's many officers killed in the line of duty, injured in the line of duty. Traffic stops are one of the most dangerous things out there. So what happens is that when someone makes a motor vehicle stop, then we have 2 officers on the street, and there's drugs, a gun, a warrant, the car needs to be towed.
Yeah.
That takes both officers off the street. There's no one else working. So this is why we need more staffing, for reasons like that. And there's a car accident, you talked about that before. That's just not one, that's a 2 officer. One officer has to investigate the accident, someone has to do traffic. Might be 2 officers need to do traffic. I mean, well, someone might need medical aid. There's a number of things that go on in all these calls. I broke down some of the data, which we'll present at the budget presentation. Over 3,000 calls this year required a 2-officer response. And over 30% of the time, we went out with only 2 officers. So we're fortunate.
They are preparing. We're going to get very proactive, and that's what we have to be, proactive. We have to be proactive for the townspeople.
Well, besides attending the Board of Selectmen's meeting on the budget, just let all of us members know what, if anything, we can do to support.
And just to update you on the capital budget, so there's 5 projects that we're proposing, with copies there. First one was the police vehicle replacement, so as I mentioned in my earlier report, one of the 2 vehicles has been funded already and ordered, so the next vehicle we're looking to purchase is a 2026 Ford F-150 4x4 police responder. It's a marked patrol pickup truck, and it's rated for police performance package, just like the SUVs we had. We used to have an old military surplus pickup truck that was decommissioned many years ago, so really now we don't have anything, and this will restore our ability to readily transport operational equipment, signs, barricades, so forth, and also to transport evidence, recovered property. Pricing for this vehicle is the same as for the SUV that we would have purchased. Actually, it's just a little bit less. And it's all the state bid pricing, so that was the first project. The second project was our automated AED, automated external defibrillator replacement project and upgrades. As you know, we're the first responders for all medical emergencies in the town. Each of our officers go out with the AED when they're deployed on patrol. We also have an AED at the main entrance to the building that's available for the public to use. And it's also part of our ability to maintain a heart safe community with the goal of strengthening cardiac chain of survival throughout the community. Our current AEDs, we have 6 of them altogether. Our current ones have been in service since 2018. They're out of warranty. They're showing signs of wear and tear, and they're at the end of their shelf life. So we want to replace them to ensure their functionality and reliability. The new ones have a lot more, they're a lot more enhanced. They have more power to improve shocking success. And that's our reason for that. An upgrade to our Barrett recording system. The police department's recording system is used to, as you know, record all 911 calls, telephone lines, all police, fire, radio transmissions, EMS radio transmissions. In order to be, in addition to being an operational necessity, it's used for call playback, quality control, and for evidentiary purposes for court proceedings. Our current system was purchased in 2019. It's out of warranty. It runs on an old server hardware and a Microsoft 2012 operating system that's being phased out. So honoring the state of Connecticut contract price, we're looking to renovate that, you know, the existing hardware and software with the latest version of that. And the last 2 projects were funding for previously approved projects. For the body-worn cameras and dashboard camera project, this is the annual funding for year 4 of the previously approved 5-year replacement and upgrade project for those items. And regarding the portable and mobile radio replacement, that's the annual funding associated with year 2 of the previously approved 5-year lease purchase agreement for all those radios. So those are all the budget items that we have, and we need a motion just to approve both of those.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you all very much.
Okay,
Thanks to everyone who's worked on the budget. A lot of work.
Yeah.
great. Now I'd like a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We're going to move to traffic authority.
Okay, just 2 quick items for the traffic authority to update you on. So on December 15th, we received the correspondence from a Newton Road resident who lives in the area of the high school, who expresses concern about speeding and pedestrian safety in that area. He did reach out about that same concern a while ago, and we did address it. He acknowledged our increased presence and traffic enforcement details. and our deployment of the speed trail as well. However, he and his neighbors feel that hasn't done enough and hasn't been effective, hasn't curbed the issue. So they believe a possible solution would involve the placement of speed humps or speed tables in that area. As the deputy chief mentioned in his report, he is doing a traffic study. He has that in the process of gathering the information about the traffic volume, traffic flow. He's been in touch with the resident, and as he said, when we get that data, hopefully we'll have that to report to you at next month's meeting. And just an update of the Woodbridge Traffic Committee. We had a meeting with them on November 21st, and we discussed some of the pending issues. Because they were instrumental in the planning and implementation of the speed humps on Landon Street, we further discussed the North Pease Road speed hump project that has been approved. Because the earliest the speed hump would be able to be installed would be in the spring of this coming year. That process is ongoing to determine the most effective location and to possibly garner some neighborhood involvement and ownership, so to get ahead of any issues or concerns, or address any issues that might arise with that. During the meeting, we also discussed a request for traffic calming measures for Oak Hill Lane, and the traffic committee plans to invite Mr. Horowitz to attend one of our next meetings to get a little bit more input from him and to share some thoughts further on that as we move forward with addressing that. We'll keep the traffic authority updated of how the next meeting of the traffic committee shapes up.
Oh, have we done any more on the speed bumps for Pease Road and for Baldwin Road?
Well, for Pease Road, we discussed it with the traffic committee, and they were going to reach out to some of the neighbors they knew in the area there, potential spots where we want to put it, just to make sure there's no concerns from the neighbors, maybe also to get a little buy-in from the neighbors of what we're trying to accomplish by putting the speed humps. So that's what they're working on now.
There might have been something with them paving North Pease, possibly.
Yeah, they're paving North Pease Road there.
So when, they want to coordinate that with the paving.
Do it that time, yeah, okay. I remember that conversation.
Yeah. And that's all for traffic.
All right, so, any motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you all.